Going to call our special meeting of the Architectural Review Board to order. What we're going to do is everybody needs to be on mute except for Mr. Logan and staff and myself and I guess Dawn. If you want to speak, raise your hand so that you can be identified, or the people that can't raise their hand, turn your light on. And we'll hope we can do this without speaking over each other. Madam Secretary, you want to call the roll?
Absolutely. Joe Barry. Jennifer Oberlin.
Here.
Patty Cross.
Here.
Irma Johnson. Nicole Conkle. Here. We do have a quorum.
Okay. Have you all had a chance to read the minutes? And if so, we would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. And this is Jennifer Oberlin. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let's have our first item.
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Herbert D. Liedman Estate is requesting a certificate of appropriateness in order to replace the gutters and remove the chimneys for the property located at 403 West Main Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061-24-08-002.00.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, this is Jordan. So 403 West Main Street is located in the Special Historic District. It's also located in the Central Business National Historic District. The applicant is proposing to replace the existing gutters, which are a mix of half-round, modern K-style gutters, and box gutters, with a type of modification that involves 7-inch pre-finished white aluminum gutters, K-style gutters that are constructed in a way to maintain the appearance of a box gutter when viewed from the street level. So what they do is, if you look on the last page of your staff report, you'll see a drawing of what they're proposing. Those differ from a typical box gutter in that the gutter is integrated actually into a cornice, which is usually composed out of wood, and then you have the gutter sitting down in that. With this type of gutter, what you see is that the K-style gutter kind of mimics that that type of cornice shape. Not exactly, but a little bit different. So it's got a different type of material, but the soffit on the bottom will be composed of wood, although it will not have the same kind of detailing and definition as the existing box gutters, although it mimics it, it reflects it in some way. The applicant also would like to remove the chimneys, if possible. There are a total of 7 chimneys. There's one particular that's in pretty poor condition, missing several bricks. But staff is not recommending approval of the removal of the chimneys. We recommend that the chimneys stay and be repaired as is with the same materials. But we do recommend approval of the proposal to replace the box gutters with the modification as presented.
Jordan,
And I have, yeah, go ahead, Phil.
I'm sorry, it's Phil Curry, and I want to also address, if we're able to do that with the box gutters, I need to know if I need to keep metal on that side porch, and also the half rounds that go on the gable that goes towards the back of the property, do I have to keep those?
We're gonna address that, I'm pretty sure. But right now, we need just the staff's report.
Okay.
Are there questions for staff?
Okay.
Okay, so I'll
Um,
be quiet then.
Okay. With regard to that porch metal roof, I believe the applicant wants to replace that existing standing seam porch roof with a rolled type roofing, if I recall correctly, or some other type of roof that's usually used for flat roofs. Staff would recommend that it. What is it?
No, go ahead. You go ahead and say what the staff wants. I'll just be quiet.
Staff would recommend that it be replaced with the same type of material, a metal standing seam roof.
Okay, get in.
And then I'll read, Nicole sent me 2 questions for this particular item. Is this a contributing property to the district? Yes, it is. Regarding the gutters, will the replacements be the same materials and size and in the same location as existing gutters? They will not be the same materials. The size will be relatively the same, I believe, but not exact. And they'll be in the same location. Yes. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
Okay.
After that, and after the applicant, I do have testimony from an adjacent property owner that I'll read as well.
Okay. Okay, Jen, turn your little mute button off. There you go.
Do we need to let Dawn know that Irma has joined?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Good morning, Irma. What we're doing is when you need to speak, turn your light on and raise your hand and I will recognize. Okay?
Thank you. Sorry for the delay. I was finishing another Zoom meeting and I ran out of power from my computer. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. All right, do you have any questions for staff on the first item? Meantime, I do sort of have a question regarding the gutters. I was thinking that our regs were a little more stringent than what has been presented. Can you address that, Jordan?
Yeah, so regs state, I'm right here, let me pull them up.
What did I do with them?
Box gutters shall be preserved and repaired or replaced with the same style box gutters on all elevations visible from the public right-of-way. Box gutters that are deteriorated beyond repair on elevations not visible from the right-of-way may be replaced with half-round hanging gutters and round downspouts. And that is hanging gutters and downspouts, unless made of copper, shall be painted the same color as the house or the trim to prevent the paint from flaking and peeling within a short period of time. Non-galvanized metal or aluminum gutters and downspouts shall be coated with galvanized steel primer. So those are the only things that are relevant to this.
Do we
Basically,
consider,
they say anything that's visible from the right of way needs to remain a box gutter, and then on the things that aren't, you can use hanging, you can use half rounds, or use a box gutter, basically.
okay, do we consider these visible from the right of way?
Yes, well, on the front and front elevation, and then yeah, the side elevation, which would be along that.
I'm sorry, Jordan, it's Phil. The porch has a box gutter that goes around it. And then on the eave that is above that porch, running back north, I think it is a half-round gutter.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Seeing none. Now the applicant, oh, Jordan, were you gonna read the testimony now or after?
I was going to do it after the
Applicant.
applicant. I think that's how we
Okay.
typically do it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little,
Oh, you're good.
okay. Now, where's my applicant? Caller 1. Is there anything you'd like to share with the board?
I'm assuming you're speaking to me, Phil Curry.
I think I am.
Sure. Okay. Nothing in particular. Thank you all for having me. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I understand that you all are wanting to preserve the historical integrity of everything, but you know, they don't build houses with box gutters anymore, and they're particularly, which, I mean, we can do it if that's what you all want us to do. We'll give direction. I want to make you all happy. But I mean, they don't make box gutters anymore. They make a K-style gutter now that is much more, it's just more efficient than the older deal. And we're not, I mean, actually with that K-style gutter sitting above that pedestal, it's not bad looking at all. And it's more maintenance free and functional. Also, you know, on the half round gutters, very few, that's just not the industry standard for today. And me as a contractor, when I go in to do a job, you know, I want to be sure that I'm going to be able to guarantee my work. And, you know, that's about it. I appreciate your all's time, and if you'll consider what we're asking to do, we would love that. And if you'd rather us do something different, then we'll do what we need to do. Typically, when I do a roofing project, if somebody has chimneys, I mean, that's a penetration in the roof, which is an opportunity sometime at some point for water to intrude the property. And, you know, if they're not being used, a lot of times I'll recommend that people remove them. But again, we'll take your recommendations and do what you ask us to do. And, you know, we'll move on to the next one, I suppose.
Okay. Could you please give us your name and address for the records, please?
My name is Philip Curry. My address is 3504 Willowwood Road, and that's Willowwood. It's one word, in Lexington, Kentucky 40517.
All right, thank you so much. And have you
You're very
read
welcome.
have you read the staff's report, and is there anything that needs to be added to it that other than what you've already shared with us?
Well, now I have the report from a couple months ago, or what have you, as far as what y'all are recommending on the chimneys and this,
Yes.
that, and the other thing.
Yeah. Yes.
So yes, I've read it, but I'm
Okay.
supposing that I'll get a revised one or what have you to give me direction on on the porch that's on the left-hand side, and the decision on whether we have to go with half rounds in that back deal. And
Right.
if in fact that we are approved to rebuild the box gutters with the pedestal and a K-style gutter.
Okay.
You know, I
All
also
right.
read, okay, great.
Go ahead.
So I
Go
guess
ahead.
if you'll just get me a revised report to be sure that we have a,
Madam Chair, may I
Yes.
interrupt?
Yes, sir.
There will not be a revised report, Mr. Curry. There will be a decision from the board tonight, and that will give you the direction. All right, sir?
Sure,
And
no
if I,
problem.
That was Mr. Logan, our attorney.
Mr.
Okay,
Logan.
now, let's see. Do any of my board have questions for Mr. Curry? Nope. 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 All righty. Thank you, Mr. Curry. Does staff have anything they want to ask the applicant? Nope. All righty. Is there any discussion, or are we ready to entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, staff wanted to introduce an adjoining property owner. This is Ed Logan again.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you for the
Thanks,
reminder.
Ed. Yeah, forgot about that. All right, I sent you all this testimony this afternoon as an attachment on an email. So this
Yes.
is testimony from Vicki Bierenberg. She resides at 407 West Main Street and adjoining property owner to 403 West Main Street. As I drove into the corner, I'll read this as Miss Bierenberg in that same first person. As I drove into the Corner of Celebrities National Register Historic District for the first time in 2009, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was exploring the possibility of returning to Kentucky for employment, where my parents lived and where I lived before moving to Chicago in 1989 to raise my family. But I never visited Frankfort. I lived in Northern Kentucky previously. As an architectural historian, I was blown away by the concentration of significant architecture in just a few small blocks. I hail from Chicago, which burned in 1871 and lost many of its early buildings. The oldest building in Chicago is a post and beam constructed Greek revival home known as the Clark House, built in 1836. So rare that school children from all over Chicago metro area are bussed in to visit it every single day. And here in Frankfort, walking around the Corner and Celebrities District for the first time, I counted a dozen buildings older than the Clark House and several more predating 1870. Excuse me. This neighborhood is a very rare thing, and it should not be taken for granted nor compromised by insensitive alteration. The original National Register nomination report from 1970, refers to it as an architectural museum, and it is one of the few districts in the country with national significance for architecture. And that is before you consider the significance of all the notable people who lived and worked there, which is just incredible. The property being reviewed is a townhome attached to the Crittenden House, which was constructed around 1800 and home to the John Jordan Crittenden, beginning 1819. Crittenden was a 5-time U.S. Senator, Governor of Kentucky, a representative of Congress, and was appointed twice to the position of U.S. Attorney General under Presidents Harrison and Fillmore. Friends and guests who visited the property during his time there included Henry Clay, Daniel Webster, and President Zachary Taylor. The applicant's townhome at 403 West Main Street stylistically is an extension of the Crittenden House, sharing a party wall with the original building. To my trained eye, it appears to have been added in the second half of the 19th century. It has a side porch that was added at the turn of the 20th century, according to Sanborn Fire Insurance maps. I have lived in the neighborhood for a decade now, currently in my second property. I purchased real estate in this district because the existing zoning, special historic, states that its purpose is to protect certain areas of the city of Frankfort having significant historic or architectural character. That was an indication to me that I could feel financially secure in my decision to buy property because the extra layer review holds property owners to a high standard, which works to protect everyone's investments and property value. My first property in the zone was located at 311 Wilkinson Street, around the corner. I completed extensive rehabilitation work, including completely rebuilding the box gutters, which were rotted in several places, and relining them with copper. I also repointed 2 historic chimneys and had a third completely rebuilt, and then I protected that work by installing copper chimney caps on all 3. None of this work is sexy like a newly remodeled kitchen or bathroom, nor is it obvious to the casual observer. It was expensive, but it is important because it helps reestablish the lost architectural integrity of the property and the district as a whole. And it helped to improve property values in the neighborhood. In January of 2018, I also purchased the property adjoining 403 West Main Street, the Rodman Bennett Hazel Rig House, which is the gray house visible in some of the photos in the staff report. This house too has undergone extensive rehabilitation, including the repair of the existing box gutters exactly as they were designed originally. By contrast, my neighbor's property shows signs of severe deterioration and neglect. It is apparent that it has not received proper maintenance, which is also less extensive than letting things go for decades and then making repairs. Now there is a request to remove chimneys and change the design of the box gutters rather than repairing them in the manner required by the design guidelines, which state original chimneys shall be retained and box gutters shall be preserved and repaired or replaced with the same style box gutters on elevations visible from the public right-of-way. Staff recommends that the chimney shall not be removed, but they recommend approval of the gutter proposal. I do not concur. The design submitted is not a box gutter, but a case-style gutter that sits on a shelf. It will not have a cornice like the existing box gutter. It is not appropriate for the front elevation of this building, which currently has a historically appropriate box gutter design that requires repair. While it is noted that the adjoining Crenton House has a variety of gutter styles, even applied to the existing front fascia board, it is unclear that the original early 1800s building ever had a functioning box gutter. The applicant's property at 403 West Main, however, was added later and was originally designed with a box gutter. While currently deteriorated, it could be made functional again. It is not relevant that something similar was approved on Shelby Street. Shelby Street is in the Special Capital District. It is a different zoning classification with a much different level of historic and architectural significance, a different purpose stated in the code, and different design guidelines, which are less stringent and even allow vinyl siding without ARB review. Approving this proposal will completely change the profile of the historic box gutter, and the original historic design will be lost. In addition, without meticulous maintenance, which we know isn't happening in this case, the design itself is not likely to function well. There are opportunities for water infiltration behind the gutter, even with a drip edge, which may contribute to the existing water damage to the historic building. A K-style gutter is not designed to sit on a shelf. Is not designed to sit on the shelf. I feel my neighbor will be rewarded for the neglect of this property with the approval of this application. Why should my investment in properly executed projects of a similar nature right next door and around the corner be compromised by approving this request? The architectural integrity of this special zone will be adversely affected by your approval. The property owner has both federal and state incentives available to do the right job. The box gutters on the front elevation and all the chimneys should be repaired as required by the design guidelines. Demolition by neglect should never be rewarded. Property values in the neighborhood have recently been increasing again, primarily due to the quality investment in rehabilitation work. At the end of the street, Liberty Hall has a brand new wood shingle roof, and the LeBreau Taylor House, Dyson Harbison office, recently installed a new standing seam copper roof. A COA for extensive investment was approved for the property at 300 Washington Street, across the street for this property in September. Existing appraised values of surrounding properties, including mine, support requiring this owner to follow the existing guidelines as written and adopted to protect the architectural character of the district, as a special historic zoning classification is designed to do. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now let's have some discussion, or do we have a motion? Yes, Nicole. Turn on, here you go. Cannot hear.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. One of the questions I'd sent staff in an email was regarding whether or not this property was a contributing structure to the district. So that will, I just wanted to point out that that's very relevant on the vote.
Okay. Ms. Oberlin.
Oh, no, I was just getting ready to vote. I don't have anything to say.
Okay, Ms. Johnson. Turn on your, unmute yourself. You're muted. There you go. Now.
I have no questions at this time.
Okay, then we'd entertain a motion. You can either do it all as one or break it into sections. Okay. Anybody ready to make the motion?
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, I make a motion that we approve the certificate of appropriateness in order to replace the gutters for the property located at 403 West Main Street. And by the staff recommendations, all three of them.
Is there a second?
I have a question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Johnson only mentioned the gutters. I believe the way this is laid out, it's all lumped into one approval, the chimneys and the gutters, and is that accurate?
I think we can break it apart. Can we not, Mr. Logan?
Yes, ma'am, you can. The motion was specifically for the gutters in that portion of the staff report, not the chimney.
That
Okay,
was my
correct.
intention.
Okay, thank you.
So is there a second on Ms. Johnson's motion? Seeing none, would someone else like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, we should note the record that the motion fails for lack of a second.
Yes, yes, sir, I'm sorry. Okay, let's
Got
try,
it. Thank you.
let's try another motion.
Okay.
Okay, now. Ms. Oberlin, are you ready to make a motion?
I mean, I am not in support of issuing a certificate of appropriateness for the gutter work. The portion of the staff report that I could agree to is that the chimneys have to be repaired and rebuilt. Are we able to just make the motion on that?
Yes,
can
you are.
do separate.
Okay. All right, so. In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, I make a motion that we approve a certificate of appropriateness for, this is where I get hung up, to accept in the staff recommendations that the chimneys shall not be removed and only be repaired and rebuilt for the property located at 403 West Main Street.
All righty, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Who was it, Nicole?
yes. That was
Thank you.
Nicole. Yes. Okay, let's call the roll.
Absolutely. Ms. Oberlin,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Conkle,
Yes,
and Ms. Cross.
Yes.
Motion
Okay.
carries.
Okay, so now we need to address the gutters.
And so I will make, this is Jennifer Oberlin. I will make a motion that we deny the certificate of appropriateness in accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance. Denial in order to replace the gutters for the property located at 403 West Main Street.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that. This is Nicole Conkle.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Ms. Conkle,
Yes,
Ms. Oberlin,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
No.
and Ms. Cross.
Yes.
Motion carried with 3 yeses and 1 no vote to
Thank you.
deny.
Okay, is there anything else we're supposed to cover on this one? staff? Jordan, that covers the first one? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Curry. I'm sure you and staff will get together on all this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for hearing me, and have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay, now our second case. Madam Secretary, would,
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Shannon Gale, doing business at Frankfort School of Ballet, is requesting a certificate of appropriateness in order to rebuild the bulkhead for the property located at 340 St. Clair Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061-24-10-013.00.
thank you.
Hey,
Staff?
this is Jordan. Yeah. So the existing bulkhead is made out of pigmented structural glass. Vitrolite is what some people call it. That was the brand of a popular brand whenever that first came out. It's black. Currently, there are several holes and missing pieces in that part of the bulkhead, and the applicant would like to replace it with a wood bulkhead that matches the one next door at 338 St. Clair. There are several bulkheads around this area that have a similar style and design, and they're very plain and basic. They are just wood, and they have like a beveled edge there as you go a few inches in with another piece of wood behind it, and it will be painted as well. So staff recommends approval of what's been submitted. And I did have one question from Nicole. Was the structural glass installed as part of the 1970 modifications to the property or prior to that? I can't say for sure. I'm not sure if it was added then. Vitrolite, structural pigmented glass, was not developed until the year 1900. The building was constructed in 1890, so the vitrolite is not original to the structure. I'm not sure if it was added in 1970 then or not.
Okay.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Seeing none. Oops, Miss Nicole. Turn your head. There we go.
If it is not, I get that the vitrolite came in after the original construction, but what's the period of significance for the district?
I'm not sure, but it would fall within that period of significance, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Any correspondence from neighbors or whatnot?
I have none.
Okay. All right, Miss Gale, can you hear us? Turn on your doohickey. Tell us your name, address.
Hi, I'm Shannon Gale, and I can hear you. My internet is kind of sketchy, so it's a little slow and delayed sometimes.
You're doing well. And your address?
Oh, of the building is 340 St. Clair Street.
All right, thank you. Have you seen the staff's report on your project? And do you have any
Yes.
additions or corrections or outrage?
No. Fortunately, no.
Okay. Is there anything else you think we need to know that's not in the staff report?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Does anybody on the board have questions for Ms. Gale? Ms. Conkle?
Thanks. I just have one, please. Have you looked at replacing the existing glass with a different kind of glass?
I have not looked at that because what I have seen is people kicking the glass and breaking it. So I really would not like to keep glass in that spot.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Johnson, any questions?
Well, she just asked the question. I was gonna ask why she chose that medium as opposed to the glass, and she just answered it. So it works out, yes.
All right. Ms. Oberlin, anything?
No, no questions.
Okay. Thank you. And
Ms. Cross,
yes,
I didn't recall you asking if she agreed with the conditions of approval like you normally ask.
I did not. Do you agree with the two conditions that staff put on the approval?
At the last
Building-
thing listed under recommendations,
Yes.
a building permit and that additional project would require a building permit. Yes, I agree to those.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'd entertain a motion then.
All right, this is Jennifer Oberlin. I motion to approve in accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, the certificate of appropriateness for the rebuilding of the bulkhead for the property located at 340 St. Clair Street, with the recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Okay, is there a second? Is that a
I'll
second, Ms.
second that.
Johnson?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, let's call the roll.
Ms. Conkle,
No.
Ms. Oberlin,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries with 1 no vote and 3 yeses.
Oh. Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Gale.
Thank you.
Okay. And our third item, please.
In accordance with Articles 4 and 16 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Jen Spangler Williamson, doing business as Spangler Williamson, A&E, on behalf of Greg and Jen McClovick, is requesting a certificate of appropriateness in order to remove the existing non-original additions and deck and construct a new addition and deck for the property located at 321 Ewing Street. The property is more particularly identified as PBA map number 062-13-07-026.00.
Okay, hey, this is Jordan again. So the scope of work here is to remove a 1- and 2-story non-original additions and deck, which are located on the side and rear of the current existing structure, and then construct a new 22-foot by 26-foot 1-story addition and deck, which is an overall smaller footprint than the existing addition and deck that is located there. So if you look at the attachments, you'll see several elevations that the applicant has provided. They'll be using hardy plank exterior siding as the exterior covering on the house, and they're going to be removing the aluminum siding in affected work areas as well. So staff is recommending approval with 3 conditions. And I do have a couple of questions from Nicole that I will read. Is this in the Special Capital District or South Frankfort District? Both. It is in the Special Capital Zoning District, which is our local district, and it is also in the South Frankfort Neighborhood District, which is the national district. It is a contributing structure to the district. as well. She had a question about that. And then a third question, will any proposed removals or additions affect any of the elements of the property specifically mentioned in the KHC survey form? I do not believe so. The defining features include its form, fenestration, and partial width front porch. Mainly the features that the historical information and comments state on the survey form have to do with the front portion of the structure and its fenestration and rhythm. And its front porch as well. It does have replacement windows, 2/2 vinyl sash configuration as well. And construction date of this property is 1875 to 1899.
Thank you.
Okay, are there additional questions for staff? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Alrighty, could you give us your name and address?
I'm Jen Williamson. I'm at 407 Walking Street.
Okay, and is there anything that you'd like to add to what staff has given us? And are you in agreement with conditions that are in the staff report?
We are in agreement with the conditions in the staff report. If there are any specific questions, I'm not used to doing this without presentation. I have the drawings and Sanborn map. If anyone wants to talk about it.
Wait a minute. We've lost your volume.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
There
said I'm used to doing this with some level of drawing presentation. So if there are any specific questions, I do have the drawings if you make me the presenter, but I don't need to present those if there are not. I guess I'm here to tell you whatever you want to know about this project.
Okay, we do have the drawings in our packet.
Okay.
Do any of the board have questions? Oops, oh, there you are. For Ms. Williamson. Seeing none, let's see,
I'm sorry, Patty. So, I mean, I could just say that the house has evolved over time, the Sanborn map. So, am I talking out of order?
oh, you're all right.
I can't understand you. I can't understand her. It keeps cutting out.
Oh, hold on a minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I had the audio on the computer and the phone all both. So, apologize. So yeah, we're getting used to this. So the house has gone through alterations over a course of time, including the addition of aluminum siding at some time in the last 40 years and the replacement windows. These pieces that we're talking about removing from the back of the house have gone through various stages of alteration, and we're just looking to sort of clean those off the back of the home and put a new, more straightforward addition, single story only.
Okay. Excellent, thank you. Questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we entertain a motion. Oops, Mr. Miller.
I have a letter from an adjacent property owner.
Sorry.
Hey, you're good. Is it Miklovich? Am I pronouncing that right?
McClovic.
McLovic?
McClovic, yes.
McLovic, okay. Mr. Miller, I'm writing in support of ARB granting a certificate of appropriateness for the McLovic property located at 321 Ewing Street to remove an existing non-original addition and deck and construct a new addition and deck as proposed by Spangler Williamson Architecture and Engineering on their behalf. My property, located at 319 Ewing Street, is immediately adjacent to the McLovic property on their north boundary. As a 30-year property owner at this location, I have consistently supported my neighbors investing in property improvements that enhance their investment in the community, specifically South Frankfort. Thank you for your consideration of this support for the McLovic application. Tony Scholler.
Okay, thank you. Now, are we ready to have a motion?
I will make a motion.
Okay, Ms.
Can you hear me
Conkle?
okay? Okay. I will
Sort
make
of.
I will make
There
make a motion that in accordance with Articles 4 and 16 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, that we approve a certificate of
Wait a minute,
appropriate,
we've lost you.
that we approve a certificate of appropriateness in order to remove existing non-original additions and deck and construct a new addition and deck for the property located at 321 Ewing Street in accordance with staff recommendations and conditions.
Is there a second?
This is Jen Oberlin. I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I've lost my, there we are. Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Ms. Conkle,
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Croft.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, there you go. Ms. Williamson, you're ready to go.
Thank you.
All right. And now we are at next item.
Number 4. In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Firehouse Investment LLC is requesting a certificate of appropriateness in order to renovate the storefront for the property located at 307-309 West Main Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061-24-11-008.00 and 061-24-11-008.00.
Thank you.
All right.
Staff?
Yeah. So here's a brief overview of the scope of work. I'm just going to read off of the first page of the staff report under that paragraph. The applicant is proposing to restore the facade of the building to a modern interpretation of the historic storefront. Historic photographs, which are included in your packet, show 3 sets of double wood doors with a 4x4 pane of divided light with a single pane at the base of each door. The door openings measure approximately 10 feet by 10 feet. The applicant is proposing to install roll-up doors in these openings that reflect the doors that were installed on the building in the 1950s within the period of significance for the building. New transoms will be fabricated that reflect the prior storefront as well. I sent you all updated drawings that Ms. Williamson submitted to me last Friday. They are working with the Secretary of Interior to do tax credits as well, and I believe they're almost through that process. So staff is recommending approval with 3 conditions, which include the modified drawings that were submitted on Friday, not the ones that were originally included with the mailed packet.
Okay, thank you, Jordan.
You're welcome.
Questions for staff? Nope, nope, okay. Is the applicant, I've lost the applicant. Where is the applicant? Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Alrighty, have you looked at the staff's report and are you in agreement with it, or is there anything you'd like to add to it?
No, we are in agreement with the staff report and would like to move forward and bring this engine house back.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to ask you to give us your name and address.
Okay, I'm Bill Cole. I live at 503 Murray Street in Frankfort.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the report other than what you just gave us?
No, we just, again, you helped us with engine house. We think we've improved the downtown and we want to do the lower facade. We did the upper that the city helped us with, and thank you all. Hope your
Okay,
approval
thank
was good.
Thank you, sir. Any
And Mr.
questions? for
Williams
the
here,
applicant?
too, if you have any questions.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Conkle.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to ask about the design difference between the transoms, between the sides where there are more divisions on the right side if you're facing it than the left. Is that to be consistent with the historic design?
Let Jim take over here.
Okay, I think there's a graphic issue with the drawing where the transoms on the right side seem to appear to have multiple buttons that they're not there. What you're seeing is the grid of the overhead door that's been illustrated in the open position. It's sitting behind that transom. Those transoms on all of the garage bays, the transoms have 3 vertical buttons, so they have 3 vertically proportioned panes. And the only transom that varies from that configuration is at the man door entry, not the wider bays. There were only 2 vertical buttons in the historic photo, so that's why we have a 3-pane transom at the door entry, and then the overhead doors have 4-pane sashes, 2 per bay, and all that extra stuff you see is the garage door sort of up in the open position, sort of projecting through to the elevation.
Thank you. Okay.
That's more visible in the next page in the drawing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the second page of the PDF, or I don't know how it was transmitted to you, but if you look at the second page, you'll see how it's the doors behind that you're seeing. Okay.
my goodness. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Renee, not Renee. Who's Renee? Nicole.
My sister's name is Renee, but I was wondering if the applicant has received comments from the Park Service on this particular elements of this proposal.
This has been reviewed and conditionally approved by the Park Service with the condition that precipitated the late amendment to the city application. The Park Service asked specifically that the interior, the man door, the pedestrian door that operates in that second bay, they asked specifically that we broaden out the size of the side light so it has more of an appearance of paired doors as opposed to what we had previously shown, which was wider stiles and rail on the operable door and more of a typical side light to the side. They gave us that direction on Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and I guess it was Wednesday, and we incorporated that change for that application and shared that with Jordan. So it has been certified by the Park Service at this point.
Thank you.
Okay. Additional questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion? We have a Is there a motion?
I will make a motion that in accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17, City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, that we approve a certificate of appropriateness to renovate the storefront for the property in 307 through 309 West Main Street in keeping with the staff recommendations and conditions.
I'll second. This is Jennifer Oberlin. I'll second.
Okay, I guess we're ready to call the roll.
Ms. Conkle,
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Cross.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Up there I am. Okay.
Thank you.
Need to look like a ghost. Thank you. Okay. And our next item.
In accordance with Article 4 and 16 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Rex B. Evans is requesting a certificate of appropriateness in order to replace the existing slate roof with an asphalt shingle roof for the property located at 102-104 Shelby Street. The property is more particularly identified as PBA map number 062-31-01-002.00.
Thank you, staff.
Hey, okay, so this is located at the end of Shelby Street next to the flood wall. And there's an existing slate roof that they would like to replace with asphalt shingle, as Dawn just mentioned. The applicant had a contractor investigate the roof and look at it, and they state that it's about 80 years old in age in various stages of disrepair. It has a really steep slope on the roof as well, and I believe they've had issues with slate sliding off over the years as well. And the historic survey form, it's strange, which is the last page on your packet of the attachment. It states that it's covered with asphalt shingle, so that would appear to be incorrect. So it does not document anything about the slate roof in that survey form that was conducted in 2008. We approved a couple years ago across the street on Steel Street to replace a what was it? The clay tile roof with asphalt shingle a couple years ago. This property is zoned special capital as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm recommending approval with the conditions.
Okay. Questions for staff? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's Nicole.
I have some here from Nicole. It is located in the Special Capital Historic Zoning District, which is our local district, and it is a contributing property to the South Frankfort National Historic District, which is our federal district. Are there any roofers that provide this service on the list of contractors maintained by the city? On our list of contractors, we don't specifically categorize out roofers. So I'm not sure. We don't have general contractors on there either. We just have among a list of other things like plasterers, masonry repair, architects and designers. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if any of those contractors on there would provide that service. We don't have them itemized out that way, fortunately.
Okay, thank you. I did have one more question that just came to me,
Sure.
if that's okay. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I
Yes.
should ask you or the applicant.
Okay, I'll answer if I can.
If, like in replacing these two types of roof, the slate to the shingle, will there be anything done to the roof that, say, 20 years from now, something happens and somebody wants to go back to a slate roof? Would there be anything to prohibit that from the construction side of things?
I don't
That would
believe so. Yeah, I don't believe so. No changes will be done to the shape of the roof, the pitch, chimneys. There's a there won't be anything done to change that. So I believe you'd probably have to remove the shingles and fabricate some way to put the slate back on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Other questions for staff? Seeing none, our applicant, is that you, Mr. Evans?
Yes, it is.
Okay, if you could start by giving us your name
Can you
and
hear
address.
me?
Yes, can you hear us? If you could start with giving us your name and address.
My name is Rex B. Evans. My address. Yes, I can. My name is Rex B. Evans. My address is 102 Shelby Street, Frankfort, Kentucky.
Thank you. Have you read the staff's report?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any additions or corrections? And are you in agreement with the conditions placed on it?
I'm in agreement with the conditions in the report, yes. And I have nothing further to add.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the board members have questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'd entertain a motion.
Okay, I will, I'll make a motion that in accordance with Articles 4 and 16 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, we approve the certificate of appropriateness in order to replace the existing slate roof with an asphalt shingle roof for the property located at 102 through 104 Shelby Street, taking into consideration staff recommendations and conditions.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
McConkle,
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. There you go, Mr. Evans. We have approved your
Thank you. Will I be receiving a letter or something can,
staff will be in touch.
all right,
Thank you,
all
sir.
right, thank you.
Okay. I think we have one more item. I think.
Yes. You ready for me to read it?
I am.
All right, in accordance with Articles 4 and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Bruce Rogers, on behalf of Taylor Marshall Property LLC, is requesting a certificate of appropriateness in order to construct a rear addition, modify the front facade, and add a sunroom, and replace the existing windows for the property located at 311 West 3rd Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 062-13-13.005.00.
Okay. Staff, are you ready?
Yeah. All right, so 311 West 3rd Street, this is zoned special capital zoning district. The applicant's proposing to do some exterior remodeling on the property that includes a front and rear addition on the existing carriage house structure for use as a single-family dwelling. Significant work includes existing masonry repair, exterior door and window replacement, a north addition and a south addition. The new foundation walls that would be added on the additions will be a brick veneer, and the new framed exterior walls will have horizontal cement board siding and trim painted. New doors and windows will be aluminum clad wood as well. So currently on the structure, there are these doors on the front of the structure that they kind of roll up in a way. This used to be a carriage house, as I stated before. There used to, some time ago, there was a structure in front of that property that sits back quite a distance from the road. I believe this property, it's been vacant off and on throughout the years and for sale several times over the years as well. And the applicant, I'm not sure what it's been used for in the past, the way that it probably as a single family dwelling, I believe it's been rented out. But the way that it's currently constructed doesn't really lend itself to a single family dwelling these days with the large portion of it with those roll up doors on the front. So the front sunroom will be, it's not a screened in sunroom, it's going to be enclosed. And then on the back addition, there will be a deck on top of the rear addition that's proposed to be added as well. I have some questions. I'm recommending approval with, first I'll say that, I'm recommending approval with a few conditions. And I have a few questions here from Nicole. Is the property in the Special Capital District or the South Frankfort District? It's in both Special Capital Local and South Frankfort National. It is contributing to the district as well. Just double checking, making sure I'm correct on that. Yeah, it is. Will the constructions of the additions as proposed be completed in a way so as not to damage or alter the original adjacent structure? Nicole, are you talking about, what are you talking about there? That little addition that's been added before?
I mean, every addition, like as specified, so we've got the construction of the rear addition, the modification of like where the front facade will meet the original structure. So both those locations, will there be any alterations to the original carriage house structure? Or would they be, is it able to be constructed without impacting the integrity of that structure?
Right, I believe it will be, none of the existing structure that's original to it will be removed. Nothing original to the structure will be removed. That's going to be added. I believe Ms. Bruce, the applicant, he can elaborate on that as well. The images presented show a deck on top of a one-story addition. Is this part of this proposal? Yes, it is as well. If so, what is the height setback materials for the railing? The railing will be built up to the edge, it appears, of the new addition on the rear that will be added. I believe it will be a fabricated metal that it will be composed of, and the height, I believe 4 feet as well. And have archaeological resources been considered for this property, including those areas where use and storage of heavy equipment will be required? I have not considered that, but we can discuss that with the applicant as well. I cannot state for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, applicant, I've lost you. Oh, there you are. First, please state your name and address.
You hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, this is Bruce Rogers, project architect for Taylor. I'm at 1434 Rosewood Avenue, Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, and have you read the staff's report?
I have, and Taylor has also. So, and we're in
Okay, and you're in agreement with all of the conditions, and is there anything you'd like to add to what's in the report?
Not specifically what's in the report, but I can take questions.
Okay.
And I kind of like Jen, I'm not sort of missing my opportunity to present drawings. So do the best we can here.
Well, we do have the drawings in our packet, so we're at least we're there. Does anyone have questions for the applicant?
I can address that one question. I think it was maybe from Nicole on the existing building.
Yes.
The intent is to keep the existing building fabric and context intact. I'm looking at these 3D drawings. I think the only actual changes to the basic structure is on the back, there's a window that he's going to change to a door. You can see that in one of the back images that would be going off to the deck. And then on the front elevation, where there is 2 doors coming out, he's going to take one of those doors and make it a window that's into one of the bedrooms. But that's the only changes to the primary structure. The rest of it's just renovation or additions to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Ms. Johnson?
I will make a motion in accordance with Articles 14 and 17 to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the property on 311 West 3rd Street. The staff recommendations.
Okay. Is there a second?
This is Jennifer Oberlin. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Ms. Conkle,
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rogers, your project's been approved, and I'm sure staff will be in touch.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you, George.
Okay, I think that covers all of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. I think we may have survived.